Hiya, so I'm doing a little video today to show you how I like to patch the holes in things like this pair of jeans that have just gone through at the crotch. Doesn't matter where the hole is, you can use the same sort of technique regardless. So just to show you what it's going to look like when it's finished, here is a pair of my husband's jeans that have been previously darned. So as long as you use a thread that is the same colour, or a mixture of threads that are the same colour as your garment, can't really tell from a distance that there's been anything done there, and normally that's obviously underneath the bum anyway, so you don't see it. So that's how you darn a hole. So I'm going to show you what I like to use. So for something like this denim, I like to use a slightly thicker patch fabric. So this is a brushed cotton, which means it's nice and soft against the skin, because you're going to be wearing it on the inside of your jeans, so you need to know that it's going to be comfortable against the skin. If you're using a much lighter weight fabric, you might not need to use an actual patch. You could use a piece of interfacing, which you can iron on, but for today's purposes, because of the jeans, I'm using something thicker like this brushed cotton. So I've taken a piece and I have cut it out to size to fit over the area that I need to patch. What I now need to do is put that inside the jeans. So if I put my hand through like that, that's where I'm going to be putting the patch. What I need to do is put something on this patch to make it stick. Now there are a couple of options. You can either, if you are a sewer and a quilter, you can use some of this, which is the kind of thing that you use to adhere your quilt tops to your backings or your battings, or you can use Pritt Stick, or you can use something like an aqua prim glue marker. I wouldn't use Pritt Stick on my sewing machine regularly, and I'm not going to use a lot of it, but for today's purposes it does work fine. I have done this quite a bit, so I'm just going to throw a bit of glue on here just to hold it in place while I'm stitching. There we go. And then, like I say, you pop your hand inside to find the area where you want to patch, bearing in mind there are some little bits that are starting to go underneath here as well, so I'm going to stitch over that area as well. And just trying to get it flat, I just take my patch and lay it on. So I haven't used tons and tons of glue here, it's just enough to hold it in place so that while I'm stitching it doesn't wriggle around too much. There we go. So then you turn it back through and you take it over to your sewing machine, and then you stitch over the patch, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. Okay, so now I'm over at my machine, and the next thing I need to do is change my presser foot. So this is my regular presser foot, self-levelling, and what I need to do is take it off at the ankle. So if I lift the presser foot with the lever and then use my screwdriver, oh, there we go, the foot with the ankle comes off, and then I'm going to replace it with my free motion embroidery foot. Now if you haven't got one of these, or if you've not done free motion before, you don't need to do this. You can just use a regular wide zigzag stitch on your sewing machine, but I find this works better, so this is my preferred method. And honestly, once you get used to using the free motion foot, it's really fun. So it just slides on here around the screw at the bottom of the shank, and then you just tighten it up. There we go. So now I've got my free motion foot on. The next thing I need to do is get my machine threaded up. So I've chosen a thread that's going to match the denim for my jeans so that it's going to blend in quite nicely. So I'll show you what that looks like. This then is the denim that I'm going to be patching, and this is the thread that I've used. If you want to check that it's a good match, the best thing you can do is just take a piece of thread out and just lay it against the jeans, and you can see that blends in really nicely. So this is the thread I'm going to be using today. I'm just going to get my machine threaded up and get the denim set, and then we'll show you how to get it patched. So I'm all threaded up. My machine has a free motion setting, so I'm just going to get that set up now. There we go. So the F there stands for free motion, so I'm now good to go. Here we are. And the next thing I need to do is just drop the feed dogs. So the feed dogs are the little teeth here that push your fabric back. Now with free motion you don't want to use those, you want to be able to move the fabric in any direction you like. So if I slide this out of the way, there's a little lever just down here that I can pop over. Yours might be on the back of the machine, you might not have a lever at all, in which case you can use a darning plate to cover over the feed dogs. Oh, crikey, that was noisy. There we go. And then I'm going to get my fabric on and we can get stitching. Right, so I'm just manoeuvring the fabric in place. Sometimes it's kind of difficult to get yourself kind of on the machine, just due to where the patch is. And then I like to start kind of towards the middle-ish. I'm going to pop my foot down, and what you should have is just have clearance over the fabric so that you can move the free motion foot nice and clearly. I'm going to trim off a couple of the little bobbly bits. If you've got one of those little clothes razors, that really helps. I'm not going to go crazy, I'm just going to take off the ones that are kind of most sticking out and getting in the way, because we don't want things to get in the way of our sewing. There we go, that's a bit better. Let me just get a couple of ones up there. There we go. Right, so then what I'm going to do is lower the needle down into my work, do a couple of stitches in place, and then trim off that starting thread at the back so it doesn't get in my way as I'm stitching. And then with free motion you can move in any direction you like. There we go. So it takes a while, but you just go backwards and forwards over the hole, and I'm just following the grain line here of the fabric. Moving along to just reinforce this area. And if I feel there are some bits that need a bit extra, I'm just going to go over those. You don't want your stitching to be too dense, or you do lose some of the flexibility of the fabric. There we go. Then I'm just going to move down to the next area and do the same thing there. So you just continue doing this until it's all full up. I'll see you in a sec. There we go, and it's all done. Lovely. So meet me back over at my cutting table and we'll discuss. Okay, so we're all done, and I just thought I'd show you this because it's quite a good example of a before. So this is the before with the big holes and all of a bit of a mess, and this is the after. So if you've picked a good thread that blends with your jeans, you shouldn't really see it too much. Another good tip is if you are trying to blend in little white areas like some of these here, and along the edge of the jeans where it starts to kind of go white, you can take a permanent marker like a Sharpie, anything like that, and you can just dab it along those areas to kind of get rid of the white bits, and that makes it an even better match. There we go. So as I say, the earlier you can do this, the better. Some people will interface this area before they even wear the trousers, to make sure that it's kind of more hard wearing. You're better off tackling it when it looks like this than leaving it to when it looks like that, for obvious reasons. There's just less stitching to do, and the more you stabilize it and structurize it with the stitching, it just kind of holds everything in place and stops it from starting to fray. So the earlier you can do it, the better. But you can save them. Now, these won't last forever, obviously, and some people might choose to wear these now in the garden or hanging around at home, whatever you want to do. But this is a way of fixing your jeans or your trousers if they start to get holes in them, any of your garments really, with your sewing machine and a little bit of extra fabric, just to give them a bit of extra life. There we go. Bye.